Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Coin News Extra interview session. Joining us today on Coin News Extra interview is our dear mama in the blockchain space is Genevieve. Maria, welcome to Coin News Extra interview session.
Thank you. And I will say for those of us who are French speaking, Genevieve. I'm starting to learn to live with it. Don't worry. Thank you for
So,
having me.
okay, you are really welcome. So, Ma, we going to be talking about blockchain application in the agricultural sector because you have agricultural background. Even your company is into agriculture. So that's why I want you to talk about this topic.
Yes, sure.
So,
Yes.
so what can you say about your company? You just give us briefing introduction about your company, Agriledger. What is it all about?
So Agriledger is actually looking at empowering producers by giving them access to market and access to financial services, which actually leads me. I'm not an agri expert, I'm a financial expert. I have about 25 years of banking. However, I realized very quickly that when we look at the supply chain of food, that is one of the places where it is actually pretty broken. And when I uncovered the whole concept of blockchain, to me, it was about application to a problem, a real problem, and also something that we can all relate to. We all eat food, so therefore we can relate to making sure that no one goes hungry or no one gets sick from food. And then finally, looking at our farmers, we all realize also that there doesn't seem to be a fair and clear view of what is being put back to the farmers, and being able to create that transparency was also one of my goals.
Okay, that's very great. Going back to our topic, well,
Mhm.
how do you think blockchain technology, distributed ledger technology, how do you think it can help farmers? How do you think it can be of importance to the agricultural sector?
So, first thing I'd like to say is that to me, a farmer is a business person. They're in the business of creating a product which then happens to be able to feed or be transformed toward providing nutrition to individuals down the road. Unfortunately, we all know that because of the fact that they are sometimes getting paid less than the value, or they don't trust that the person who's buying it from them is going to come back with the money, they tend to take a much lower price for it. So with the blockchain technology, what there is you can now start looking at to where you create farming to be what it's supposed to be, a production with services being rendered to the producer to then allow him to be able to be assured that he will get paid. So in the Agriledger context, we're allowing for ownership to be retained further down the line, which means others are providing a service, and when it's bought and sold, assuring that everyone throughout the chain is compensated fairly for their effort. That doesn't mean that the farmer gets 50%. It means that 50% may be the cost of manufacturing and transportation, but whatever is left does go to him. So we then have a much more clearer pathway. And I think that's what the blockchain gives us, is it allows everyone in different compartments to do what's important for them, to be accountable for the result that they're supposed to have, and then through that create some sort of, I don't want to say harmony, but real collaboration, and assuring that both the producer and the customer have their needs met.
Okay, because that's a very nice one. What you are looking at, because blockchain, not everyone is used to blockchain. People just hear about it, Are there steps that you people are taking to educate the farmers about blockchain and how they can apply it to their farming?
It's not, you don't need, you see, that's the thing. Do I come and tell you TCP/IP and SSL is what makes your email go in a secure fashion? No. You know that your email through a system is assuring that as long as you put the right address, it's going to arrive to the individual and they're able to respond to you. That's technology. Farmers, individual do not need to know, they just need to know that they can trust. So there's two parts to this trust. There's the trust of provenance and also quality, which we are assuring with the system. And the second one is assurance of financial return to those who have participated and done the right job. We are using smart contract to be able to monitor the what's happening, like if there's a temperature that needs to be met or there's a time frame that needs to be met, those are measured and the system is governing that. So you start putting governance and you should start putting I don't want to say penalties but consequences for failing to meet SLAs. Once you have that in, you start having a system which is much more efficient. That's what people want to know, that there's efficient system, something that I can trust, and something that somebody can't go in the back and basically start siphoning my money into a different location. That's what farmers want to do. A farmer, the reality, everybody thinks the farmer wants the money today. Well, he wants the money today because he doesn't know if you're going to come back in 2 weeks and return the money to him. So he wants his money now. But if I mean, I've been with the farmers in Haiti, and I explained to them, I said, I'm putting a system, and believe me, everybody now has cell phone. Everyone in the deepest bush, as you know, in Kenya, has a phone to do M-Pesa. So everybody understands consequences. So they know, okay, I'm saying there's a system which is going to allow me to be able to trace your product, make sure you get more money, and then when that money comes in, I'm going to put it into you. What we do is we send messages to them to tell them every step of the way where their products are. That's creating trust. That's communication. Then they get their money. Do they need to know it's a blockchain? No. But those of us who know it's a blockchain know this is how we can assure that everyone that needs to work throughout, because the service provider, the banker, the broker, each of them have their own needs. So you keep everybody true, and the system is measuring that people are doing what they're supposed to do. And then that creates a better efficient system. The fact that it's a DLT blockchain, it's irrelevant in the same way it's irrelevant that it's SSL or TCP/IP for your email. It's just that it is needed to make it function as we wish it to do so.
Okay, that's very nice. You really explained it very well. So, generally, what do you think blockchain can do to the agricultural sector? Generally,
I think
coming from the general perspective.
I think that there is a lot of information which is not harmonized and also does not reach the proper individual. The other thing is that by being able to measure, quantify, and evidence, you can now start looking at funding. So there's been lots of funding available for agriculture and when we talk about green energy and all those things, but it is impossible to find out at which level and where it's needed. And the reality may be that it is not needed at the producer level only, it's also needed at the process level, at the transformation level. So those people which we call middlemen also are providing a service, and that service is not always quantified properly. So now we start quantifying and understanding from an efficiency where we need to spend time or where we need to make changes. From an agricultural standpoint, what it does is that it allows not only individual but government to be able to better plan as to where there is surplus, because sometimes we'll have, let's say as an example, 50 tons of grain, and you've got 5 people selling that 50 tons, and you don't know which one has sold what part of it, and you're still hearing 50 tons, and there could be 20 left, or there could be 150. You don't know. So blockchain technology gives you assurance of those numbers and that data. and allows for better trade finance, better financing, better, I would say, sustainable finance, which is becoming very key to being able to assure that there is enough food. Because FAO talks about that if we don't have changes in our agricultural practices, we won't have enough food to feed everybody by 2050. Reality is we are producing enough. We're just losing a lot of it due to waste, because it's not being taken care of in the right way. You know, it's not stored in the right way. It's not transported, or the farmer does not have access to market because there's no transportation to go and get it there. So there, with the technology, you can start incentivizing people, but in a way which doesn't mean that I need to go find a farmer, pay him cash in order to get it, because now I've created a trust factor, a trust chain, which then allows for everyone to basically benefit.
Okay, thank you very much because you've really done justice to this particular topic. So before we round it up, how is the blockchain ecosystem over there in Haiti? How is it like?
So it is not. So Haiti is not really like a blockchain ecosystem. It is changing, and people are aware. And that's in a way where I'm glad, because if you can bring it to those places where you would not expect, is the government and the is making the changes and acceptance that's needed toward that. The next step is really education and getting the youth to be interested in it. And it's important to say it is not. We call it blockchain, but in reality, it's about distributed ledger technology. My system does not look at tokenization. I think tokenization is a byproduct of assets or whatever, but right now it's too new to start doing that. So we need people to start understanding the technology without having to look at that financial outcome, which is a trading of a coin or a trading of an asset. It needs to be an asset receives the value that it's supposed to have, and then we bring this back. Now, there is no need to have, in my point of view, to have a pegged asset or a pegged stable coin, because the cash is in a bank account. Just move it back. Yes, we do have exposures to the country or to those fiat, but it is what it is. So therefore, it's about getting people to understand the power of the technology without getting bogged down into the tokenization. Though Haiti has actually been looking at several projects, they also have, so they have the Timberland project, which is right now in a fact finding. And there's the plastic project has also been done in Haiti, which is the one where the people are being paid for picking up plastic trash, and then they get paid coins for that. So it's not foreign to them. And the reality is blockchain is in the cloud. So therefore, it's available to everyone. It's just a question of dissemination and understanding also the limitation of the particular infrastructure, which could be access to data, access to money to buy yourself a smartphone, and then finally, it's access to electricity. So if we all, those of us who have a smartphone, know how many times a day I can't do a day without mine being charged throughout
Yes.
the day. So therefore, if you look at someone who lives in a remote area where the infrastructure for delivery of power is not there, because solar power, yeah, gives you some power, but you know what? I'd rather be using it on powering my generator so I can have fresh meat rather than powering a phone all day long, because that's a waste of energy. Versus if you have a feature phone, you can still receive messages, SMS, you can still send SMS, you can still make a phone call. Those are the important things to communication. So it behooves us in the blockchain technology to do the same as what has been done significantly with success by M-Pesa, to allow people to use the technology to communicate. Yes, it would be great for everybody to have a smartphone, but I think that's about 4 or 5 years away still.
Okay. Thank you very, very much, Ma, for joining us today on Coin News Extra interview. You've really done justice to this topic. We are glad to have you. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay, thank you.